Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, everybody. This is the Slider Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Stuck in the Middle. This show came out on Disney Channel in 2016 and ended in 2018. It lasted for 3 seasons and it ran for 57 episodes. The first season was 17 and the second and third was 21 from what Disney Plus says. But if you look on Wikipedia, season 2 and 3 only says it had 20 episodes each. This is probably because they didn't count two-parters as one episode, as like 2 different episodes. And this is one of my all-time favorite Disney Channel shows. It has that like old Disney Channel feeling to it and the new Disney Channel feeling. So when I say old school, I mean like the Zoog Disney era from like the early 2000s and stuff. And of course, the more modern day stuff. Because, it centers around a family, but, it mainly centers around this one female character. And that's like the Disney Channel formula, starting with that of Lizzie McGuire. And also kind of So Weird. I keep forgetting about that. So maybe So Weird, because So Weird is the one who kind of started that solo female like centered show where a family revolves around her. But it was Lizzie McGuire that kicked it off to where they started doing more and more series like that. Also in the Zoog Disney era, they never changed up their intro. However, this show tweaks their intro. It still remains the exact same all throughout all 3 seasons, which is rare and bizarre because around the time of That's So Raven, they started changing up, the intro per season and stuff. But they tweaked it a little bit. Like when it comes to the twins, one of the boys' name appears first before the others. And then of course in season 3, the Rachel actress, her name completely disappears even though she's still in the credits. Also with that Zoog Disney feel, the lead actress does not sing the theme song. So like starting with, I think, That's So Raven, the lead actress was singing like, the theme song and everything. I'm glad they did not do that because a lot of these former Disney Channel stars cannot sing. And you can hear the imperfections in their intros and stuff. So I'm really glad that Jenna Ortega did not sing the intro to this. In fact, I don't think she sings period in like her real life. Like I've never seen her sing anything. And I'm so glad they never tried to push anybody on this show to sing. Although the actor who plays Ethan, I think he might be in a band in real life. And his character did have like a music motif, but it really didn't go that far in the show. In fact, when it comes to his character is the only one that had one of the more like motif and everything. I kind of feel like they didn't know what to do with that character. And so when it comes to this show, this was Disney Channel's second live action attempt to make an all like Latino show. Kinda. See, the first one was Wizards of Waverly Place, where the cast was divided between Italian and Mexican. Because Selena Gomez is half Italian and half Mexican, so they wanted to show the divide in her family and stuff when it comes to that of race. So that's kind of like a Latino-ish type show. But then there was this one that's supposed to be centered around an entire Latino family, and a big one at that, because there are 2 parents and 7 kids. And that's because Jenna Ortega has a huge family in real life. However, this is a Latino-ish type show. They came close with the casting, except 2 of them are not Latino. One is Italian, and the other one might just be white. I say might, only because there is a lot of confusion when it comes to this person's race. And they tried to explain it when they got in trouble, and it just made it more confusing. And then the internet doesn't really have an answer as to what exactly she is. I'll get into that controversy a little bit later. But you know what's interesting about this show is that when it comes to Wizard of Waverly Place, they legit said that, hey, we're a half Mexican, half Italian family. However, I've noticed in this show, I don't think never once in any episode do they ever state their ethnicity. They always just say they're a Latino family. That's it. They never say if they're like Mexican, Cuban, Puerto Rican, anything. And so that's kind of odd that they didn't do that. Now, when it comes to Jenna Ortega herself, since the show is centered around that, she is Puerto Rican and I believe Mexican. So I'm surprised they never had a half like Mexican, like, you know, Puerto Rican family. And pretty much like the cast is pretty much like, you know, everybody is blended in something. Everybody's like biracial or something when it comes to like the people who play this show, for the most part. And so 3 of the cast members are actually Puerto Rican, and the others are like, you know, one's Mexican, one's Cuban, like I said, one's Italian. The other one is white. And as for the dad, you know, I have no idea what he is. I cannot find that nowhere online. So he's in the air, like whatever your guess can be. Because I have literally no idea. Now, when it comes to live action Latino shows, they actually had one that did have an actual all Latino cast. However, that show, like I said before, got canceled after 1 season. It was then later on Disney Plus, and they literally just took it completely off to where you can't watch it nowhere. I am still pissed off about that. That was that Ultraviolet Black Scorpion show. That show was good. It had potential to be great, and they just took it completely off. Pissed me off. Like, I really don't know what the world Disney Channel is doing right now. And so, like, this is also one of the rare Disney Channel shows where the entire cast does not appear in every episode. That is strange, shocking, and bizarre. Now, it could be because the main cast consists of 9 people and 2 recurring characters, later 3 recurring characters. Maybe, just maybe that's why. And maybe they didn't have the budget, because I've noticed in season 3, they started using more copyrighted music for, like, you know, certain episodes. So of course that's money, and they filmed on location in certain spots. But that was throughout the entire show, so maybe they had to save money for that. I don't know, but it's just odd and bizarre because by the 2nd season, people just started disappearing. Now, the interesting thing about that, in season 2, when a character disappears, they will state where that person is. But with the start of season 3, when a character disappears, there's no explanation whatsoever where this character went. And it's even more shocking when it's the younger kid cast members that are about like 5 years old, and there's no explanation as to where they are, and both their parents are still on the show. And there could be a theory behind that. If it wasn't the budget, it's because of this rumor I heard on the show. Now, like I said before, this show only lasted 3 seasons. This is shocking because this show had high ratings. It was a fan favorite amongst a lot of people. So what the heck happened and everything? Why did this show get canceled by the 3rd season? And why only after 57 episodes? It couldn't even make that 64 episode mark that the Zoo Disney had to cut their show off on, because back in those days, Disney Channel shows could only last for 64 episodes. It couldn't even make it to that. So what the heck happened? There are two theories. One has been, we don't know if this is the reason why the show got canceled, but we know that there was confrontation between two of the cast members that led to one of the characters getting completely written out of the third season after the third episode and only appearing in the last for a total of 2 episodes in the third season. So that's always been verified and stuff. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But then there's this other theory as to why the show got canceled and why some of the characters don't appear in every episode. So one fan theory that I keep seeing online, I don't know where they got the information from, so just take it with a grain of salt because it's just a rumor, is that the entire younger cast could not get along with each other, which kind of makes sense because the younger cast was comprised of teenagers, older teenagers, 1 adult, and 3 young kids around the age of like 5 or something like that, 5, 6, something like that, And so, you know how those younger kids be on television shows, they're rowdy and everything. And from what I read, the younger cast could not get along, and neither could their parents. So something must have happened behind the scenes that caused the kids not to get along and bring their parents in for them not to get along either. And also, a rumor has it that the executives of the show literally had to sit the younger cast down and tell them to behave themselves or they was going to cancel the show. That's a huge theory, and I'm very curious to know how much of that is true. However, not one single cast member will talk about why the show got canceled. They are very tight-lipped on it. And in fact, for the most part, the cast really doesn't bring up this show no more because they've all have either moved on to other projects or their acting roles have like completely stalled and they haven't been in anything for a few years, which is sad because, this cast is very talented and stuff. And it's funny how I got into this show. I got into this show because of the mom on this show. And she almost wasn't even cast in there because of past movies she did in the past. And Disney Channel's all like, hey, look, this is not Disney Channel standards. We don't want people like researching you and stuff like that. And so like, because, the movies she did, was things like, actually I can't even say the title of those movies. No, they're not a triple certain letter movies. No, they're not that. But, they're more like mature, adult, and also like horror-ish movies. And, just put, okay, there's something in there that Disney Channel like, look, we don't want people looking at that. Anyway, but like, she said that like, I think the agent, like her agent, got her on the show because the people at Disney had to contact her older gig that she did back when she was 18, and that gig was Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. My favorite season. And so after talking to the people who ran that show, they're like, yeah, she's totally cool and everything. You could totally cast her. So they casted her on the show. And so I was on her Facebook page one day, and on her banner, she had something called Stuck in the Middle. I'm like, Stuck in the Middle? What the heck is that? So I researched it and saw that it was a Disney Channel show. Now, the reason why this escaped my notice is because around this time, in 2016, I had stopped watching Disney Channel because I had got older. The only show on Disney Channel I was still watching was Bunk'd, and that's only because I started watching it from the beginning and I was going to watch it till the end, which who knew that show was going to last 7 whole seasons, making it till this day the longest running Disney Channel show. No, Raven's Home is not the longest running. Bunk'd is. And so I downloaded the Disney Channel app, which is a pain in the butt because it doesn't always want to work. And I watched the show and I loved it. And I became a huge fan of Jenna Ortega. This was the start of all this. So thank God the mom was in this show despite not being Latino and actually being Italian. Disney Channel, so close. So close. And it's kind of odd that they always cast Italian people to play Hispanics. But this is not the first time that's happened. That's happened in Fear the Walking Dead. Because ironically, the dude who played Justin Russo on Wizards, who's Italian, and because the family's half Italian, half Mexican, his brother was on Fear the Walking Dead, and he's Italian. And so, yeah, if it wasn't for the mom, man, boy, I would have missed this show and I would have been pissed. Now, the show was created by Alison Brown and it was co-developed by, Lord, I cannot pronounce her name, Linda Vediti, Figo de Rednindo? I don't know. Right? I don't know. I don't know how to say her name. I don't know how to say her name. But the show was created by them. And so when it comes to Stuck in the Middle, so the show reminds me a little bit of Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, Wizards of Waverly Place, and probably a smidgen of Jesse and stuff. So it's about this extremely large Latino family that is dysfunctional. They can't get along for nothing, but they're so close, they do everything together, and they do secretly love each other and will have each other's back. It just takes a while sometimes for them to have each other's back. And it centers around that of the middle child, Harley. And she is an inventor. So it has that modern day Disney quirk where the main star has some type of motif. Kind of like Hannah Montana, where she's like a singer and stuff like that. And so she is an inventor. And she is the glue that holds her family together. And when I say this family can't get along, boy, I mean they are insane. This show feels like a sitcom with a touch of the Disney flair. Kinda that old school 80s sitcom family show where it's the family messes up, somebody has to help them out, they give them that life lesson. Very Lizzie McGuire, but they don't sit you down like the parent and hammer out what you did wrong and give you some advice. Kind of like that whole 80s thing, but it has more of that 90s flair to it where it's okay, you mess up, there's a life lesson, but we don't preach to you. We just give you a tiny bit of advice and stuff like that. Because for the most part, the kids, they learn their life lessons when people either help them out or get revenge on them and stuff. And it's very much the revenge route, kind of like Jesse. So it's really fascinating. And one of the things I do like is the family dynamic. It is a huge family, and it really does show you what a large family goes through because the family is lower class. They're lower class and slightly border middle class, but mostly lower class. It's Harley always complains about how she's the middle child. She doesn't really get to do what she wants. She doesn't get to sit where she wants to in the car. She can never eat a bowl of cereal that looks like the box and everything because her family's always taking the food. The house is completely trash. Nobody cleans up. And it's the small details you have to pay attention to that makes it look so real. Like when they go into the bathroom, which is a spot everybody goes to hide out at. The bathroom actually has black mold around the tub. There are stains on the walls and the doors, and there are holes in the wall. That is very detailed to show that, hey, this family is roughing it at times, you know what I'm saying? They can't clean up and, their house is kind of falling apart. And There's stuff, clothes all around the house, you know, their toys all outside. The family has literal holes in their shirt. Now, some of them are like man-made for like pants you wear like that, but other ones are legit holes. Like the mom, I'm still surprised they got away with showing this. The mom turned around, they showed like an angle of her butt, and there's like a hole in her jeans where like the butt part is. I'm like, holy crap. Not only that, but it is so Zoog Disney to the point where everybody on the show is wearing like casual clothes, like realistic type clothes that you can just go to some place like maybe like Walmart and just buy like some shirts to put over your body and stuff. Because remember, starting with the second season of Lizzie McGuire, when it got very, very popular, that's when they started having more stylized clothes. And then that carried on into the new era of Disney with Hannah Montana, Wizards, and other shows like that, where they wore more designer clothes to where teenagers did not dress like teenagers. And I love how they had regular, natural clothes on them. Also, this show did something that I've never seen another Disney Channel show do. They had an Easter episode. Disney Channel has never done Easter because other than collecting eggs and the Easter bunny, it also revolves around like religion. And Disney has, you know, tiptoed on religion like back in the Zoog era days, like Lizzie McGuire. Because, you know, like, what is it? Like Gordo is like Jewish and stuff like that. And they went to like his bar mitzvah. Here we actually see the family go to church. I'm like, holy crap, I ain't seen nothing like that since Lizzie McGuire. And they actually say the word God in the show, which is something surprisingly to hear because this is Disney Channel and everything. There is some adult like humor in this and like, you know, things you wouldn't necessarily see on Disney Channel because like this is a hybrid show. It's a hybrid of the Zoog Disney era and then the new Disney era and stuff. And I do like that blend. And a lot of shows have followed, you know, like similar to this and everything. I still can't believe it's been 7 years since the show got canceled. Like that is insane and everything. But back to the whole family aspect of it, I do love how the family is like they bicker with each other, but they also love each other because there's always somebody in need and there's always somebody there to help them out. Like they are a very close family that does everything together, especially vacations. They like, you know, have these like family events for all kind of stuff, like because their last name is Diaz, which I still don't know which Latino family, Latino or Hispanic culture that goes with. I know that's I read online it's Portugal and stuff like that, but that's all I could find. Now they have things like the Diaz Awards, where they have like an award show towards the end of the year where, you know, all like the members of the family, you know, get like put in certain categories and they get voted on and somebody wins like a trophy and everything. They go on vacations for like Christmas and spring break and like, what is that one thing they did? Oh, they have family courts. When somebody messes up, they have like a person dressed like a judge and have like family court. Like they even like, you know, because they don't have much money on them, they like, you know, they hold their hand out, the other person slaps and they be like, all right, I owe you this favor and I can't like neglect on that and everything. And it's just one of the things where the family members are always blackmailing the other members because the family is so like selfish and everything, especially the lead actress or the lead character, Harley. Like Harley is a good person and she's the glue that holds that family together and she does her best to try to make everybody in her family happy. But she's very selfish and everything. She's always had some type of scheme going on or something that she wants. So it's something she wants. She manipulates the situation in her favor, but it always blows up in her face. I love that dynamic because she's the good girl, the main character, but she also has a bad side to her. Similar, not so much similar to that of Alice, because Alice was kind of the same way, but Alice was extremely selfish, extremely lazy, and like she only did the good thing when it came towards the end because she didn't want to like screw things up and stuff like that. Also, with the whole wizards thing, when the lead actress or character, I should say, messes up, it's always the big brother who has to bail her out because they're like best friends and stuff. And I do like that dynamic between these two characters. When it comes to that of like, say, my favorite character, it probably has to be Daphne. Daphne is insane with the ratty hair, the way she dresses. Her doll named Deafany, they use the word deaf on this show. But Georgie is also like my second favorite. Now, what's odd is that Harley is the middle child. But in all honesty, Georgie should have been the middle child. She's awkward and everything. She's a bumbling idiot. She messes and screws up everything. She has no self-confidence whatsoever. And out of all the characters, she is the most character developed because they changed her personality in season 3 when one of the cast members got fired and everything. And, you know, so it will make sense she would be the middle child or the show should have revolved around her, but it didn't. But yeah, like I said before, this show made me a huge Jenna Ortega fan. And, you know, Harley is my favorite. But it's just kind of like, you know, like Daphne's just insane. She's just like hilarious, sleeping in a dollhouse, the ratty hair. She's so mean to people and stuff. But Georgie is just like that fun, lovable, dorky person, you know? And so, like, when I say like the family is somewhat poor, like they own their own business, but like everybody in town hates their guts because they're so like rambunctious. You know how those big families are with younger people, they always get into devilment and people just want them to go home. That's how like everybody in their town is. They get in trouble at the theme park, they get in trouble at the mall, they get in trouble with the neighbors, in trouble at school. And in the first episode, like, you know, they literally took a box of donuts off the garbage can and ate them. And they said this isn't the first time a Diaz family has eaten from the garbage can. And that's supposed to mean like, you know, see, the food of donuts was not in the middle of the trash can. It wasn't at the bottom. It was literally at the first thing on top. And it was just put there. So I guess in their minds, they're like, all right, it's safe not to eat. But you know, you're not really supposed to do that because germs crawl on things really fast because they're microscopic and everything. You would not believe some of the things I have seen. Like, I remember when I was watching the Magic School Bus, they show like what everything looks like microscopic. You can't see it. But the worst thing of them all, when I was watching Inside Edition, you know, the whole 5-second rule does not apply in real life because they show what happened within that 5 seconds. There are thousands of germs that like jump on like things within that 5 seconds and then they multiply. Gross. And you know, the show has like, you know, big cast, like I said, big cast, right? And they all have their own quirks, their own motifs. And you know, you got the tropes and everything. You know, you have like the popular older sister who's all about fashion. You have like the younger boys who get into all kind of devilment. You got the mean child, the understanding child, the caring child, the dorky child, you know what I'm saying? And so like, you know, it has like those tropes. And it's so cool that Disney Channel went that route of having like an all Latino-ish family and stuff. they kind of speak Spanish here and there. Nothing in their house has like any Latino value to it. It just looks like a normal house. And there's even an episode that talks about that because Lori Hernandez, Olympic medalist, like from like, you know, gymnastics and stuff, she gets started on the show. And of course, she's half Latino. They kept saying she's Latino, but they never said she's half black. So I don't know why they didn't do that on the show. And so, like, she was all like, cause Georgie, the second oldest, invited her to the house for like an authentic Latino like meal. And she's like, "Oh, that's great. I haven't had one of those in forever." Only problem is the family doesn't really do that because, you know, there's no Latino stuff in the house. They don't speak Spanish. Most of them can't speak Spanish. And so they kind of highlighted that in the episode. I thought that was like really touching for a show about Latinos that don't really have no Latino stuff in it other than like some of the stars, you know? So I'm glad they did that, but it would have been nice to have more, you know what I'm saying? And they tried that with that other superhero show I told you about, and that didn't go over too well with a lot of audience members, and the show just got canceled due to low ratings and stuff. Either that or Disney was just trying to save money and cancel shows and take them off their platform and crap. They was doing that David Zaslav crap. So, after doing some digging, I just now found out that the dad is not Hispanic. He's Italian as well. I kind of had a feeling he was, because every time he talks on the show, he has kind of like this Italian type accent. I just don't understand what's up with casting, man. I just don't get that. It's like 2 Italians and 1 white person and stuff. Like, I just don't understand. Like, was it really that hard to find a Hispanic actor, you know? And the way I found out is because I couldn't find it nowhere online, but on his Instagram page, he has the Italian flag. Now, when it comes to race, like I said before, it's just the main cast of Latinos. And mostly when they have another guest starring person, they're always white, I've noticed. Like, you only see 1 Asian person in the background in this show. And a few black people scattered here and there, but mostly nothing to say, except for 2 characters. One of these characters is from a former Disney Channel show, Lizzie McGuire. She played Claire on there. Now, when she played Claire, she was only in 12 episodes out of 64, and her character barely did anything and barely said anything. So you see, Disney Channel has not learned their lesson. But at least she got more to say in this entire 1 episode than she ever did on Lizzie McGuire. And that's one thing I've noticed is that whenever they have like black recurring characters from other shows, they tend to bring them on other shows for like a guest appearance. I guess they feel guilty or something. Now, there's a really cool webisode that Disney Channel decided to give the show instead of giving them a like theatrical movie or like a TV movie. Is where like they're stuck in like a shopping store and everything. And the thing is that like they're notorious for like misbehaving and stuff, and people and employees don't really like them all that much. So they must like survive the mini mart and everything and try not to get on the wall of shame, which pretty much every Diaz kid ends up getting in trouble. But then it's like, you know, Ethan, he's pretending to be an employee with a fake mustache. What's interesting about that is that when the actor got older, he decided to sport an actual mustache. Now, the webisode is not on Disney Plus for some bizarre reason. I think it might still be on their YouTube channel, though, the Disney Channel YouTube channel. So before I get into character profile, let me finish this one train of thought I had that I never exactly finished. And that's back with, you know, the younger cast not getting along with each other, which could explain why some of the cast members aren't in every episode, because that's just so strange and bizarre. Now, of course, Jenna is in every episode because she is the main lead, But normally they will rotate like the family. Like they will have like the two brothers, the younger ones, disappear for an episode, but then the youngest daughter will be in that episode. And it's normally like half of the kid cast will just be like missing. And then they'll have like one of the older kids there, and then the other one will be missing. And so sometimes they will have like, one parent missing and then the other one's there. But then later on, they started having both parents there. But it was always the younger kid cast that kept rotating a lot. And, like I said, young kids, they don't always get along. And I remember there was a video I watched years ago. I can't find it no more on YouTube. I went through my history list and I can't find it. And it had to do with the youngest daughter, played by Ariana. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I can't remember exactly what she said, but she wanted to tell the interviewer, like, a story about something, I guess, that happened on set. I don't remember exactly what the gist of it was, but I think one of the younger boys either pulled like a prank on her or made her believe something that wasn't true, and it got on her nerves. I just remember that, but that's all I can remember. I don't remember the specifics of what it is she said. I wish I could find that video. So there is probably some truth of like the younger cast not getting along and stuff. But anyways, let's get into the characters and stuff. So I'm gonna start with the main one herself, Harley. Harley Diaz, played by Jenna Ortega. She is the main person of the show. And so the show revolves around her, and her family are supporting characters of that of her. She appears in every single episode. And I do love that blend of the old and new Disney style. They have their main protagonist. She has a quirk to her. Her quirk is that she is an inventor. She's kind of like that spare parts dumpster diver type inventor where she takes all these spare parts all these spare parts from like, things and create them to better help like, her creativity and things that she's doing around the house and to better help her family. And I do like that because, you do wonder, why does she like being so smart? Why does like, she like inventing stuff? Because it's never really truly explained why she loves science so much, why she loves engineering so much. But instead of telling us, they show us, which is what you're supposed to do. And she does it to help her family, and she does it to help other people and stuff. And, she's a very passionate person who loves her family to death, but she is the middle child. And unlike most middle childs, she's not odd or weird in like no kind of way. She has her head screwed on straight, and she's actually the one who has to help out like, her family whenever they're in a crisis. Most of the time, whenever somebody's in trouble, they come to her because they know she'll be able to figure things out because of how intelligent she is. She is literally that glue that holds her family together, because without her, they would just crumble. Like, she created this like type of food like rotating system on the table, because with 9 people living in the house, it gets kind of crowded and everything, so this is a better way for everybody to pass the food along without having to like bump their elbows and fight and crap like that. And the thing about her is that like we see like her inner thoughts, because she monologues to, or narrates I should say, to that of the audience. She breaks the fourth wall, very similar to the way Zach Morris does it, but she kind of does overdo it because she's constantly breaking the fourth wall. And so it kind of has a little bit of that Lizzie McGuire part to it, because Lizzie would tell us her inner thoughts to the audience through animated Lizzie. But here, instead of animated Harley, we have the real Harley just breaking the fourth wall. And it's really interesting to hear her thoughts on situations because it's kind of like the thing, like I said before, I like about this show, they show what it's like to have a big family. Like she said that literally she tries to get to like the breakfast table before anybody else because she actually wants to eat a bowl of cereal that looks like the box. Because every time she tries to eat anything, here comes her family stealing her food. And it was also an episode where, like, in the car, you know, because they have a big car for the entire family, there's a certain seat called the sweet seat. And basically, it's where Rachel gets to sit, the oldest child, because she's older. And she don't have to worry about, like, bumping elbows with the rest of the family and, like, stuff like that, you know? Now, the thing about her that's really interesting, as sweet and compassionate that she is, she's actually very selfish and everything. Like, she's always coming up with some type of scheme that benefits her. But in order to have that scheme take fruition, she's willing to use other people to make herself happy. And you don't really catch on to it all that often because she's so nice, she's so sweet, she's so smiley and all this other stuff. But that's what she does in every episode. There's always something she wants for her benefit. And she knows that if she can manipulate the situation and everything, she can get what she wants. But that always ends up backfiring on her to where she makes things worse. And it's quite interesting because she is the main protagonist. So she has a little bit of that Alex Russo in her, but Alex is just like a spoiled brat who is just like lazy and everything like that and just uses people. And so, like, once she realizes, you know, what she's doing is wrong and how everything backfires, then she tries to, like, fix the situation and everything. And instead of, like, a 80s, a 90s sitcom where it's like, you know, a parent sit you down and tell you what you did was wrong and all this other stuff, like, you know, instead, it's like either they will prank her for her to get the hint and she'll, like, you know, fix the situation, or it's like she'll have to help out one of the people that she screwed over just for her to realize what she did was like wrong. Because she never goes around wanting to hurt anybody's feelings, like her best friend. And so when it comes to that, her best friend, like her best friend wanted to film her Kinsey and everything, but she's not very good at, like, you know, recording and like other kind of stuff. And so she didn't want to hurt her feelings. So she lied to her and set up a situation to where her friend would back out of it. And so when Ellie backed out of it and Ellie found out she was lying because she bribed her family with money and everything, it hurt her friend's feelings. Now, at one point in season 2, her friend got written off the show and they gave her a new friend, this one girl. But then that one girl only appeared in like one episode. In season 2, Harley becomes a little bit more feisty. She'll snap at people, she'll talk back to people, she'll catch like an attitude and everything. And, you know, like, it was something that kind of helped her character because her character was just a little too nice and smiley, you know? And there was even a time where she always tried to be so nice to her family, but there was one time where the twins just got on her nerves so much that she literally told them she's done with them and she wants nothing to do with them no more. Now, in typical Disney fashion, this wasn't going to last long, and the twins, you know, helped her out and everything to where she would forgive them. And I kind of wish they would let it linger a little bit more, but they didn't. And so, yeah. And in the third season, they gave her like a nemesis and everything, Aiden, this boy who was next door that was Ellie's cousin that got on her nerves, even so much to where he moved her fence on the property line so he could have a part of her yard just to piss her off. And it got to the point where you really thought those two were just going to hate each other for the longest time until she realized the reason why he acts the way he does, other than just being annoying, is because his father doesn't spend no time with him and because of his job. So she befriends him and everything. But then she later ends up falling for him and having a crush. And when she does, she doesn't know really how to act and everything. And so she just keeps making situations worse because it's the first crush she's like ever had. But then she had to say goodbye to him because he's gonna be going back with his father and stuff. I wish it was a little bit more of a tearjerker, but you know, this is new Disney. It's not like the old Disney shows and stuff like that. And so, like, you know, of course, she's played by Jenna Ortega. And I didn't even know Jenna Ortega was in Richie Rich, a TV show from the Awesomeness, like, you know, web series and stuff. And you know, I've said this so many times, but I am so proud of her and everything. Like, she's half Mexican, she's half Puerto Rican. You know, she has a good head on her shoulders. She stands up for what she believes in. And it's like, you know, she really proved, you know, you can go past that Disney Channel era and make something out of yourself in Hollywood. Because right now she is an it girl in Hollywood. She's on Wednesday, the television show where she's the lead. She's gonna be in the new Beetlejuice, like, you know, movie. She starred in a bunch of other movies and stuff where she's not trying to get typecast as, like, you know, as like Harley. And it's so funny because there's an episode of like Stuck in the Middle where like she literally said if she was a day of the if she was one of the weeks of the month or whatever, she would be Wednesday, foreshadowing her becoming Wednesday. Although she should have said if she was a day out of the week, she would be Wednesday, because weeks don't have names to them. And so I really hope that her career can like flourish a lot more than what it is already, because it's kind of like she has kind of ruffled a couple of bridges in Hollywood when on the Wednesday show, when she went into the writer's room and changed some of the stuff. I don't know if she asked for permission or not. I would hope that she asked for permission. And so some people took this as like spite. They're like, yo, you're not supposed to do that and everything. Like, who do you think you are, changing what the writer wrote just because you felt like it was unnecessary and something was better? But she understood her character, and then, like, that's the thing. You should always respect the director and the writer, but and the showrunner, but sometimes they're not always right, and you should always give your input, but you really shouldn't just go and change stuff, you know what I'm saying? Because that is disrespectful. But it is one thing where the star have the wherewithal to understand, like, hey, this is my character. My character would never do that. Like, you know, don't do that and everything. So there's always a good way to handle it. And she didn't necessarily handle that the right way, but the Wednesday show is amazing. So whatever changes she made was for the better. But I really do hope she just asked for permission and then just like go and do that. But it did give her a little bit of heat. And I think it's one to the point where she says she regrets doing that the way she did. And, you know, like I said before, she is a headstrong person because she butted heads with somebody on the Stuck in the Middle show, and that person got written out and everything. And the thing is about Hollywood, because she said that, like, she wishes people would speak their mind more when it's about moral and humanitarian type stuff. And that is true. But you gotta be careful. Like, there's a reason why people tiptoe around subjects, because people get triggered, and they can literally use your words against you, because somebody could be all like, well, you know, you're a co-star from the Stuck in the Middle. She expressed herself and everything, and she paid the consequences and everything. Her co-star said one thing political and another thing racist. Now, the racist thing was terrible, but the political thing, some people might try to throw that back at Jenna and be all like, whoa, that sounds like a double standard and everything. So she really does kind of be careful how she words certain things, but her co-star was in the wrong no matter what, you know what I'm saying? Because it was a very hateful comment upon comment upon comment and everything, you know? And the thing, like I said before, like with the whole her changing like the writing and this and that and some other stuff that, you know, that's been going on, it's kind of like she's the it girl now. That's not going to last forever. Just look at Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, you know what I'm saying? A couple of like box office bomb flops and your personalities will hinder that and everything, because Jennifer Lawrence was at one point the it girl. And after, like, you know, defacing a national monument in another state that's very sacred, that got her in some, like, you know, hot water. also her attitude and, you know, some other stuff she was doing. And so Jennifer Lawrence is now no longer the it girl, and instead of being the lead in the movie, now she's like a co-star in the movie. Chris Pratt, there's some odd things about him in his personal life that, like, nobody knows if it's truly real or not, but he doesn't really deny it. He just goes with the flow, and it makes people wonder about him. And he was a leading man in Hollywood at one point, until now it realized he's no longer a leading man. Like, his Jurassic World movies aren't that great. He feels more like a co-star in that movie than a leading person. It's to the point where he's no longer leading movies, and now he's just doing voice acting and stuff. And because at one point they were thinking about making him the Highlander in the Highlander reboot, but not no more and everything. And it's because he's losing his it man status and everything, you know. One more thing about Harley before I move on is that, like, there are times when she feels like she's not good enough. Like, nobody, like, appreciates what she does. And it's to the point where sometimes it's like, you know, she will screw up and blame herself. Like, when her family business got, like, robbed and everything, she realized because she had propped the door open and forgot to lock it, and she blamed herself. The only problem I had with that episode is that they just, you know, cleaned it up real fast to where the dad's all like, oh, it's okay, people make mistakes and blah, blah, stuff like that, right? And it's kind of like, it should have been one of those life lesson type episodes where they teach you, hey, you know, you got to be more responsible, you can't forget and stuff like that. But I do like the vulnerable side of her, to where she feels like, you know, whatever she does just isn't good enough, because things tend to always, like, blow up in her face, and it tends to make things worse, you know. The show that, like, because, you know, this character has, like, a lot of flaws. Like I said before, you know, like, she's selfish and stuff like that, but she's also a good and endearing type person. Kayla Missonette, she plays Georgie. Georgie is the second oldest child. And honestly, Georgie acts more like the middle child than she does the second oldest. The actress is like half Puerto Rican and half Russian, so most likely half white, half Puerto Rican. She has amazing curly hair. And so, like, Georgie is very awkward. I could honestly see her being the lead of this show, or like a quirky best friend type thing. But, like, she constantly is messing up. She has no self-confidence, and she bumbles everything she does. She's really into sports, but she's not very good at it. She doesn't have no type of self-confidence whatsoever. She reminds me of that one actress from The Middle, or that one character from The Middle, Sue Heck. That's funny because both shows have the word The Middle in it. And so she's really just that awkward, bumbling type idiot type person. She's not very bright, and she always has like a heart of gold, and she tries to help people, but she's just not very good at it. Now, what's interesting about her is that when the oldest child left in season 3, she took over as the new, like, head child and everything, and she wasn't really sure if she could do it. So with the help of Harley, she realized that, you know, she can do it and stuff. She can give that advice and other stuff and really help out her family. After that, they did a character shift on her personality. She is the only character whose personality changes throughout the entirety of the show. She's no longer, she now has self-confidence now. She's no longer like messing up on things. She's more headstrong. She's getting things done. She has a bit more of an attitude for that self-awareness, assertiveness and everything. Every once in a while in season 3, they will make her go back to the old Georgie, but she is the new Georgie and everything. And it's kind of interesting how they just did a complete shift on her personality. Now, she did end up having a boyfriend because a boy liked her at school, but for some reason, she just wanted to dump him because she just felt like they just didn't connect no more. Unbeknownst to her, he actually dumped her weeks prior, but she didn't realize it and stuff. Now, as for the actress herself, I really adore this actress. I think she's really good at acting and everything. She has a great look to her. Sadly, though, she doesn't act anymore. She hasn't really had a role in like a few years and stuff, which is quite a shame because Hollywood is passing up on a very talented person. And I hate when Hollywood does that crap because it's like, you know, they'll always pick somebody who's like, you know, controversial. But then right here is an actress who can act and hasn't done anything wrong, you know. Isaac Presley, he plays that of Ethan. Ethan is the third oldest, and he's Harley's best friend. That's something they make a point to say over and over in the show. Whenever Harley is down or, you know, isn't feeling too good or can't do something, he is always there to pick her back up and to help her succeed. And he will help her out in any way possible. It's similar to how Justin was on Wizards of Waverly Place in like the first season. He always had Alex back and everything. And so like that's really cool how, like, you know, brother and sister got along very well to where they're like, when they're like, you know, just so close, they're like best friends, you know. Now the actor is Cuban, and he's the only Cuban actor on the show that I know of. And so like the thing about Ethan that I started to realize is that they didn't really know what to do with that character. They tried to give him so many different quirks and themes for the show, but the only one that seemed to stick was that he likes to make movies, very similar to Gordo and Lizzie McGuire. And so like he's always making videos and like little mini movies, and because he wants to be like a director and stuff when he gets older. Another quirk they try to give him is music, where he plays a guitar. This really didn't go that many episodes, even though he did form a band, but then his dad wanted to join the band, and like, you know, he had to tell his dad, like, look, man, you're just not good enough. But he had a hard time telling him. Mostly him and his dad spend the majority of screen time together. If not him, then mostly sometimes he'll interact with like the twins and everything. And then the last thing they tried to give him was that he's actually a player. Like, he always end up crushing on Harley's like female friends, but you never see that happen except for one episode. And he never crushed on Ellie, maybe because she's a little bit younger. But you gotta remember, all of Harley's friends are like, you know, younger than he is. But like they always end up having a crush on him, and he always ends up somehow breaking their hearts. And also random girls at school. Like he'll date a girl, but then he'll realize, oh wait, I forgot the date. Oh wait, I forgot your birthday. Oh wait, I forgot, like, you know, this and that. And so they try to make him kind of like that forgetful player type that always ends up breaking girls' hearts. Which I don't know why they try to give him that quirk. They should have just gave it to somebody else, like the older sister or something like that, you know. And so it was just kind of odd how they kept giving him all these different things and couldn't really settle on one. But they should just settle on like the movie making thing. He's nice. He's a little dopey and stuff like that. He kind of acts like the cool guy, but kind of like the dorky cool guy, you know what I'm saying? Now, as for the actor himself, he hasn't really starred in anything lately. He's been in other projects before, like Totally Eclipse. He was in Fuller House. But like he got himself into a little bit of trouble after Stuck in the Middle. He was battling his demons, if you know what that term means. He's been arrested twice. I forget why. He was on that one podcast explaining it. Thankfully, though, he has turned his life around and has stopped doing bad stuff. Thank God and everything, because nobody wants to see this dude end up like so many former like Disney Channel stars and everything, like that dude from That's So Raven, you know? It is kind of odd how so many people who come from Disney end up like, you know, falling down that slippery slope. Okay, so the twins, Louie and Beast. And apparently Beast must be his real name because they've never called him anything else. And so the twins, let's see, Louie is played by Nicholas Patel, and I believe he's Mexican. And then I'm not sure how to say the other dude's name who plays Beast is Malachi Barton. I'm not sure what his race is, but I do know he's biracial. Not really sure what race he is and stuff, but I'm pretty sure he is Hispanic, and he plays Beast. And so Louis is the one with the glasses. And so it turns out that Louis was born like a few minutes earlier. And the twins are just like nuts. They're your typical, like, you know, annoying, bratty little brothers. It's funny, Louis has like spiky hair similar to Matt from Lizzie McGuire. And so, like, they are just like the personification of chaos. They always want to break stuff. They always want to do something gross. They always want to, like, you know, get their hands dirty. They're just nuts. And Beast is literally like, you know, he's the one who messes up more and kind of like the dumb one of like the group. And it's just, and it seems Louis a bit smarter than he is and stuff. And also, they do everything together. And I mean, they do everything together. Like, but it turns out that, like, when Beast had his own birthday, because he was born a day later and everything, because remember, they're a couple of minutes apart. So he wanted his own birthday party, but Louis feel like he has to plan everything out for Beast and, you know, and wants him to do whatever he wants and everything. And that really gets on his nerves because for the most part, they are literally like, you know, because they're fraternal twins. They don't look nothing alike. Not even, the two actors aren't even like related and stuff. And so, like, you know, it's funny because they do everything together, but they do have slightly different personalities. Like, for the most part, for some bizarre reason, which is never explained, is that you can normally see Beast on the show with like knee and elbow pads, and sometimes he wears a helmet with spikes on it. Or horns, actually, I should say. It's never explained why, but it just is what it is. Sometimes they're paired with Daphne, sometimes they're not, but they're always finding ways to get themselves in trouble. Now, the actor who plays Louis, man, I can't believe how much they've grown up. Like, the actor who plays Louis looks nothing the way he did when he was a kid. It's insane. Now, he's done some other projects. I think he was on like General Hospital when he was a little bit younger and stuff like that. Now, the actor who plays Beast, he gets started on another Disney Channel show called Bunked in one episode, and then he was cast in the show Villains of Valley View as like one of the, like, you know, kids and everything. And like, so that was cool. He was able to find like another Disney Channel gig, you know what I'm saying? Which was a really cool show. He also starred in one of those Disney Channel original movies. Now, what's odd about him on like the Villain show, I can remember I said how he's biracial, and I'm not sure exactly what it is he's mixed with. Like, I don't know, like, none of his like races and stuff. But I'm pretty sure one is Hispanic. But then on the show of Villains, he plays a white boy. And that don't make no sense. Unless he's like half white, which I have no idea if he is or not. Daphne. Daphne is played by Ariana Greenblatt, and she is half Italian and half Puerto Rican. Daphne is by far my all-time favorite. She is just insane. From the way like she dresses, the way how crazy her hair is. She is the mean one of the family. And I mean the mean one. Basically, okay, if you're a fan of wrestling, WCW, WWE, and you know who Ron Simmons is, you know people don't mess with Ron Simmons. AKA Farouk. This is who she is. She's like the 3 foot tall, like, you know, Puerto Rican Italian version of Ron Simmons. She is almost deranged in a way, and each season that passes, she gets like darker and darker. She has tons of dolls, and she loves to have tea parties. She puts on angel wings and crowns, But she's so twisted in the head. She deforms all her dolls. Her stuffed animals have the stuffing ripped out of them, and her main doll she calls is Deafany, like the word deaf. The fact that they use the word deaf on Disney Channel is crazy. She sleeps in a giant dollhouse in her room. You know, the room arrangement for like the family is interesting because you have Rachel, the oldest daughter, you have Harley, and then you have what did I say? Georgie. They all share one room, which is odd that the oldest child is going to share a room, you know what I'm saying? But she shares it with like her two other older sisters. Then Daphne has her own room, the twins have their own room, and then Ethan has his own room, which is just kind of odd. And then of course the parents got their own and stuff. But like when it comes to that of like Daphne, basically she blackmails like her family members into paying her money. Like when something she did to piss them off, so they got her back as a prank by putting shaving cream in her hand, waking her up, and she hit her face with it. She literally says she's gonna get them back, and she does. She's always stalking them, and she even shaved the eyebrows off two of her siblings. Like the girl is just ferocious and everything. But like there's like times where she wanted to like, you know, compete in some type of like beauty pageant thing. And for whatever reason, her older sister couldn't, so, you know, Daphne did. And so she pretended to be all like proper and wear a princess dress, only to bring a change of clothes and change back into like her crazy clothes and stuff. And, you know, it's just the thing about her is she doesn't like doing chores. Sometimes she'll hang out with like the twins. Like in the third season, they kept pairing her with the twins a lot. But mostly she's in her own little world, and like, you know, the family has to like wrangle her and stuff. It was even to the point where Georgie had to teach her manners and she didn't want to do it or take a bath and everything. I remember on one of their vacations, I think something happened to the doll where this one girl had it. It had a tracker in it. And she literally had a tug of war talking about how she's going to mess this girl up and she'll give her back her doll and everything. And, you know, it's just like, she is just like hilariously crazy. She can also dance because the actress can actually dance. And in fact, the actress was on a younger version of Dancing with the Stars. Which if you already know how to dance, technically you're not supposed to be on that show. But tons of adults do the same thing too. Like the dude from Fresh Prince, he's a trained dancer and they put him on the show, so they don't really care and stuff like that. But like other than that, that's really like all she is. She's just mean. But in the third season, they did something really interesting. She had a sleepover and Harley told her a ghost story, which actually scared the crap out of her to the point where she was terrified of the night and wanted Harley to sleep with her and stuff. And she even started crying. And it's like, oh my God, like, because you would never expect that from her. And it's because Harley really scared the crap out of her to where she was just terrified of the night. But, you know, Harley gave her like a pep talk, and after a couple of weeks, she was like better and everything. And so when Rachel left, like Rachel used to have this blackmail book. It's just a black book where she's all like, you know, if you don't do as I say, I'm going to use the book on you. So when she left, she gave it to Daphne and the twins. And it turns out the pages are completely blank. And it's just a way to like, you know, make people do what you want to do. And they think there's something they did was wrong. Then her and the twins, they had a scheme to where every time they want to get out of something, they just say there's these two bullies that pick on them. And they have to give the bullies $10 so they'll leave them alone. But the bullies turned out to be make-believe. And the twins and Daphne literally just used it to get like their older siblings to do whatever they want and everything. Now, when it comes to that of the actress, She is slowly rising up in Hollywood and everything. Ever since she left Disney Channel, she's still been working with Disney. She had a small role in one of the Avengers Infinity War movies where she played a young Gamora and everything. She had a small part in Star Wars Ahsoka playing a young version, which, you know, it was like a flashback scene. You know, they really should make a live action like Anakin Skywalker and young Ahsoka series based on like, you know, that animated series. But she's even branched out into like bigger movies. She had a small supporting role in the Barbie movie playing the daughter. And just now, the recording of this video, because I'm recording this part of the audio in August, she was in the Borderlands movie, which sadly, the recording, the first day that movie came out, it flopped hard at the box office. I don't know how it's doing now because it's only the first day it came out, but it had 0% on Rotten Tomatoes and people seem to hate it. And at 16 years old, which, okay, let's see, it's August now, towards the end of the month, she'll be 17. So around 16, 17 years old, she's actually writing her very first, like, horror movie script and everything. Only at like 16, 17 years old. That is impressive. Hopefully that will work out for her. I can't even tell you, I was shocked and surprised to see she was the girl in the Barbie movie. She has grown so much, like she's taller, her hair isn't crazy like Daphne was, and her voice has changed. Daphne as a kid always had kind of like almost a husky, like old school 1920s, 30s type voice, like a whispery, hazy kind of voice, you know. But now she sounds like a young teenage girl. It's weird how she got older and her voice started to sound younger. Now, what's interesting about like Ariana, like, you know, being in Borderlands is very similar to Jenna Ortega when it was kind of like predicted she would be Wednesday Addams. Daphne kind of predicted she would play Tiny Tina in Borderlands because Tiny Tina in the movie sports like, you know, 2 pair of bunny ears and her hair is like really messy. There's an episode of Stuck in the Middle where Daphne grandmother comes and her hair is like really wild and everything and she's wearing 2 bunny ears. Dude, it's like this show is just predicting stuff. Now, Susie and Tom, the 2 parents, and it turns out both stars are actually Italian. I can't believe that. I never knew that until today when which would now be August, that like, you know, when I went on his Instagram page and I saw him with the Italian flag. And yeah, that made sense that he sounds Italian. I thought for sure he might have been Hispanic and everything, but no, he's like Italian. And so Joe Neves, he plays Tom and Serena Vincent plays that of like Susie. And so like Tom owns his own shop, like some type of like, you know, fisherman type shop where you buy like bait, life what them things called, those like lifeguard like things, vest goes around your chest, boat equipment, like, you know, fishing equipment, you know, stuff like that. And so like the mom, I don't think she has a job. I think she's kind of like Lizzie's mom, where she's just a stay-at-home mom. And so Tom, he's kind of like a go-lucky type dad. He's always there to give advice to his kids. He's normally paired with Ethan. In one episode, they decided to pair him with that of Daphne of all people. And they actually got along watching like old videos of like a spoof on Knight Rider. And when it comes to Susie, she was very different from the first couple of episodes. In the first couple of episodes, it's shown that she's lazy and doesn't want to be around her kids, so she goes and finds hiding spots and stuff. But then after that, she's just a typical normal mom who hangs around her kids. And I do love how they dress down Serena, because Serena's a very hot woman, you know? And they dressed her down to be kind of like, you know, that mom who tries to make ends meet and cut corners and use coupons and stuff. Like, both parents are not shy of stuffing food down their pockets and taking it back home whenever they go to like an event. You know, to further show that their family is like, you know, struggling with like 7 kids and everything. I believe he might still act. I'm not really sure. I remember her from like Power Rangers, man. She was Maya from Lost Galaxy. And like, what is it? She's been in a couple of like horror movies and stuff. Ellie, played by Lulu Lambrose. She is the best friend of Harley. She's a really sweet, nice girl who would do anything for Harley. Like one time, like Harley had this substitute teacher. Both of them did because they're in the same class. This man does not like none of the DS kids. And so like Harley wanted to go to kind of like this indoor, like, I forget what they call it. Like you be in that room, they throw all that air on you and you kind of like hover in the air. And like skydiving, indoor skydiving. And so she wanted to go with her family, but you know, there's picture day today. And so she's scared of getting detention because of that man. So like, you know, Ellie pretends to be her, and it's like a crazy episode and stuff. So they're best friends and will do everything together. She also has an extremely strict mom who won't let her do anything. But other than that, she's a happy-go-lucky girl. For some bizarre reason, they wrote her out of the show after the 4th episode of the 2nd season, I think, or earlier than that. And then she came back for the 3rd season for only like 4 episodes and stuff. Now, I think she is of Greek descent, but when I look at her, she looks Jewish, and she looks a lot like the actor who played Gordo from Lizzie McGuire and the actress who played Ruby in Even Stevens because of the big cheeks and everything. And both of those 2 stars are like, you know, Jewish. So she might have some Jewish in her. I'm not really sure. She seems to have retired from acting very early on and, you know, just focused on school. Mostly what she does now is like, you know, she models on Instagram. Hey, work it. You know what I'm saying? Bethany, played by Lauren Pritchard, she is their neighbor, and she is very uptight. She's very old school, very conservative type. Like, you know, she does not like the Diaz's whatsoever because of how chaotic they are. She's always complaining about their family. She mostly interacts with that of Harley and Susie. And at one point, her and Susie started being friends, and she started, like, you know, trying to make Susie a better mother in her image, which got on the nerves of, like, the Diaz's and stuff. I remember this actress from Mad TV from back in the day. Aiden, played by Joshua Barnett, he is the cousin of Ellie who lives in her place when she's gone. He's the 3rd season kind of like antagonist type character. He gets on Harley's nerves like a lot because he's always hitting the fence with his ball. Well, I think he plays like field hockey or something like that. And she just really hates it and it annoys her. So when he realizes that, he does more things to get on her nerves. Then after a while, it's shown that the rest of her family doesn't like him either. Because apparently he's just very annoying. But it turns out that like one of the reasons why he keeps hitting the fence as hard as he does, because he's angry. His dad is a businessman and is in Tokyo. And he's over here in America and he wants to be with his dad, but never gets to because his dad's always away and never gets to see his games. Overhearing this is when Harley and Ethan decide to befriend him. But then later on, it turns out she starts to crush on him. They date very briefly, but he has to go back with his father. Now, the actor is mostly, he acts, but he mostly sings. He's done some other things like High School Musical and stuff like that. And he also, a few years ago, finally came out the closet. Good for him. And last but not least, Rachel. Lord have mercy, here we go again. Because I've talked about this at least twice before, which is probably the reason why the show got canceled. So anyway, Rachel, played by Ronnie Hawk. And so Rachel is the oldest child. She's very stuck up. She's very selfish. She's a fashionista. She only thinks about herself, but she will help her family out, even though she really doesn't want to. And for the most part, she's all about like fashion, not being around her family. She had a boyfriend named Cuff in the first season where she, will like her parents be away and he'll be at the house. She'll ride on the back of the motorcycle. Something you will kind of see Kelly Bundy do instead of like a Disney Channel show of all things. But then, mysteriously, she disappeared in the third season. She was missing for the first 2 episodes. Then she showed up in the third only to leave the show. Apparently, she went off to college to Paris. And I'm thinking to myself, how in the world this family's going to afford that? Then she came back for the very last episode. And in the third season, they still had her in the opening credits, but they took her name out. So that made me kind of suspicious. Like, what the heck is going on? Then I got even more suspicious because, like, whenever they would have a flashback in season 3, she was completely missing from the flashbacks except for one, but there was no way to take her out. Then I started noticing, like, when looking for, like for pictures and stuff for the show, she's missing in a lot of the group pictures, and mostly because those were taken around season 3. So what the heck happened? Well, see, Ronnie Hawk is white, and that's all I know about when it comes to her race. Now, there has been some speculation she might be Hispanic. Might is a huge word. Somebody online said that they think she's white non-Latinx or something, Latinx or something like that. And basically what that means is it's a person who comes from a Spanish-speaking country that America does not consider to be a Latino country. So some people think she might have some Spain in her ancestry. Maybe that's a huge maybe. And if so, then that means people like Antonio Banderas, Daphne King are not considered Hispanic, even though they come from Spanish-speaking country because they come from Spain. I don't make the rules, the government's weird. But for the most part, it just seems like she is white. And so, but you can't tell when you look at her, because when you see her with everybody else on the show, she looked like she might have some Latino in her, right? But no, she's a white girl. And well, she caused a lot of controversy back in the day around 2016. She was 16 at that time. And, oh, no, maybe it was 2017. It was around that time. Anyway, she was 16 around that time, and she decided that even though she can't vote, she's gonna talk politics. Lord have mercy. When I was in college, my RA told everybody in the dorm, don't talk politics and don't talk religion, because that's one of the main things that are gonna cause people to get pissy at you. Well, it turns out she is a huge conservative and a huge Trump fan and everything. And so she said some things online that was problematic, and it pissed a lot of people off. Since then, she has now gotten rid of Twitter and everything. Basically, from what I can gather, is that she wanted Trump to build his wall to keep Mexicans out. at some point in time, which I can't find this tweet nowhere online, so either it's been deleted, and even people online can't find it. So most likely she probably said it while she was on the show and like the backstage and everything. She said that all Mexicans are gardeners and that Mexicans are only coming to this country to take education away from Americans and jobs and all this and that. She also made a comment on the Parkland shooting and everything. And with these racist comments and with these problematic, like, you know, comments about like a school, something like a massacre that happened at a school, it pissed a lot of people off. But the thing is, people watching this show had no idea what her race was until lead actress Jenna Ortega decided to blast her online. Basically telling her, like, you know, how you gonna play this Latino, like, I'm just gonna give you the gist of basically how you gonna play this Latino role, not even being a real Latina and everything, because this wasn't her first Latino role. No, this is actually, she's had two. After she left this show, she did another show called On the Block, where she played a Mexican girl whose parents were deported. So people were furious, and Jenna Ortega ripped her a new one online and everything. And so this exposed her dirty little secret, and this caused a lot of people watching the show to get very, very, very pissed off at her, and rightfully so. Like, how you gonna be white playing two Hispanic characters but say tons of racist stuff about the Latino community? What in the world was she thinking? Basically, what she's thinking is people's gonna have her back. But nobody had her back because nobody really knows who she is, and a lot of people did not agree with her. And so as a result, she was fired from both television shows. She was written out of, like, you know, Stuck in the Middle, and I believe her character was killed on the Block. But On the Block only lasted for one season, so it didn't matter anyway. But the damage was done to this show, and I believe it's the reason why the show got canceled, because she rubbed basically her entire cast the wrong way and everything, to where even some of the younger stars started to chime in. And it was just a big mess. And this exposed this like a huge dirty little secret Disney Channel had. Disney Channel, of course, didn't want nobody to find out about this. But like I said before, the damage was done. And so what were they gonna do after that? You know what I'm saying? So a whole lot of crap started happening backstage. And at some point, they canceled the show after 3 seasons. Now, of course, typically, she gave, like, before she gave her fake celebrity apology, like they all do, she argued with people online, talking about, you don't know me, you don't know my race, you don't know what I'm mixed with. Dude, you're white. Like, that is what you are. So doubling down on it and lying is not making things any better. So then she finally came out with her fake celebrity apology and everything, trying to say, well, you know, I was only 16 at the time. Even at 16, you have the wherewithal to know what's racist and what's not, what's problematic and what is not, what is sensitive and what is not. So that's not even an excuse. And so because of that, she left Twitter. She's still on like Instagram and stuff, but more trouble followed. So basically, she hasn't really been seen or heard from in like forever. She hasn't had that many roles afterwards, and she had one movie after the show ended, and I think it bombed and everything. So basically, she is canceled. And all she really does now is just hang out with her family and ride horses. But she got herself into a little trouble with the law. She got arrested, put in jail overnight for allegedly having a knife in her hand and hurting her boyfriend for domestic abuse. Supposedly, the cop showed up and he had scratches on him. It's like, dude, I don't care how hot she looks. Get your black behind up out of there and run. Which he is still with her till this day because I'm pretty sure it's the same boyfriend she had back when this show was on and everything. It's not worth it. It's not worth getting cut. Get your black behind up out of there before you become a shish kebab and everything. Or sushi or whatever. Or like a diced onion or whatever. Like, run, dude, run. Oh, boy. Some people, boy, I swear. So yeah, she's pretty much just like done and everything now. So Stuck in the Middle was a very good show with some really good one-liners, some adult humor you was not expecting, and some things Disney tried to do a little bit differently. I am kind of curious though, because it's like when it comes to this show, like I said before, it's a Latino-ish type show. But there's no cultural anything within the show. There are no figurines. There are no flags. There's no color pattern. There's like no clothes. There's like nothing. They barely speak like Spanish on the show and everything. And so it's basically Disney Channel had a Latino-ish type show where they just tried to pass it as a white show. So it makes you do wonder if they really intended to make a Latino show, because like I said before, That's So Raven was not supposed to be a black show. Annalise was supposed to be the lead, but you know, she didn't get the role, but she got the role as the best friend. On Wizards of Waverly Place, it was not supposed to be a Mexican Italian show. It was originally going to be a white show because they wanted the girl who played Harper to be the part of like Alex. So it does make me wonder if this show was really going to be a Latino show or not. Since then, Disney Channel just has kind of like forgotten this show. Like, it's still on Disney Plus, and you can watch the entire first season on the Disney Channel YouTube page. But there's never been no movie of any kind. There's never been a crossover, no DVD releases, nothing. They have just completely scrapped the whole idea of this show. No type of revival, no nothing. And back to the whole, like, you know, was this supposed to be a Latino show or not? Like, I feel bad for Jenna Ortega. She just recently came out in an interview, which of course was back in August, because this is when I'm recording this. And she literally said that there are people in the Latino community that put her down and say she's not Latino enough. Basically, what it is that they say because she doesn't speak Spanish in none of her roles and this and that. From what I've read of her, she's about 75% Mexican and the rest is Puerto Rican, and she's actually spent a bit longer time in Mexico than she's never been to Puerto Rico. But like, you know, those were hurtful comments to her, because it's kind of like, yo, she feel like she don't fit in because they feel like she's not Latino enough. And that does suck. Now, one thing I have noticed about the Latino community is that they are very prideful. And I've seen them online literally turn on Latino stars who don't speak Spanish and everything. I saw them turn on Jennifer Lopez because they say she doesn't sing Spanish all that much. They turned on, what's that girl's name? Is it Rachel Zegler? The Snow White girl, because like she's half Hispanic and half white, and you never hear her speak Spanish. Even though she is half Hispanic, like they tend to just denounce that side of her and just think of her as white. And it does suck and everything, you know, because these people clearly are actual Latinos. And, you know, like I don't, like, I'm not Latino myself, so I can't speak for that. I just don't understand why people of their own community will put them down just because they don't speak, like, you know, Spanish and stuff. I mean, when you're not born in a Spanish-speaking country, you tend not to speak Spanish. But then, you know, that's not really the fault of them. It's more on their parents for not teaching it to them, you know? Kind of like Asian people when they're here in America and their kids can't speak like their home language and stuff because the parents don't teach them that. And it's kind of like how black people, you know, like my people, we don't know nothing about our ancestors because most of the time, you know, our parents don't teach us about like where we came from and stuff like that. And I just feel bad for Jenna, because you know Jenna is a very good actress, and she is representation, and she is really like, you know, turning heads in Hollywood, and where other like people of color are not. And it's like, here she is, this person of color and representation, but people don't want to acknowledge that and everything, and it's just sad, you know. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.